Hey, this is Bryce Johnson from Expedition Bigfoot. You're listening to the Paranomaly Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen. It does happen.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey there, ponderers of the paranormal. You found the Paranomaly Zone, your place for all things paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg. I'm responsible for these shenanigans, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the teetotalaring Mike Carbno.
Totalaring?
The teetotalaring Mike Carbno. Yeah, you're sipping
That's
away.
enough of that.
You're sipping away on your tea as we speak.
Yes, I'm getting to really enjoy this citrus-flavored green tea.
Yes, I'm happy for you as he takes another swig. Yep.
Yes, I'm 6 years sobriety.
Oh, really?
Sober now. Yes, and
very good. I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you.
yeah.
So I apologize. I just got a notification on my computer right there. So if you heard that little ding, I apologize for that. So.
I did not hear anything on my end.
Well, maybe I just heard it on my end. So
I wasn't listening for a ding though.
Okay, ding, 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 ding. Well, how you doing, Mike? It's been a long time. It's been since last night since we've seen each other via the computer.
Since we failed, we were failures at our 3-episode evening, day and night.
I felt terrible.
Yeah. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been done till like 3:00 in the morning, and there would have been no usable content.
None whatsoever. But we did manage to get an hour and a half Patreon video episode recorded.
A very good one, I might add.
A very good one. A very entertaining. It was a conglomeration of all sorts of different things in that video episode. Man, it was pretty darn fun.
Creepy ass clown.
Old men jokes, Tom Jones dancing videos, and of course we did some reaction takes on some pretty cool creepy paranormal footage out there, and some awesome spirit box sessions that I don't know. Did they reveal any cool answers to you, Mike? I will leave that up to the future listeners to check out for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty darn cool, man. I'll get the plug out of the way right away.
Yeah, and since it was a video one, which is exciting, the watchers can see all about it.
The watchers. I hate it when you use that, though.
I know that.
Sounds creepy.
It's like you standing in your backyard by the house, looking at the edge of the forest, at the end of your yard.
Yep, just sitting there staring. I'm just looking at all of a sudden these little eyes start glowing, looking back at me. So yeah, I don't like it. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, man, if you enjoy the podcast, if you're listening to us right now and you're subscribed and you like what you've heard, I'm telling you straight up, you will love the Patreon page content. It's just, we're up to over 170 exclusive posts on there, and we got some great video content to go along with exclusive audio episodes. Stuff you can't find anywhere else. Stuff only our awesome patron pals can find and listen to. You could too for as little as $1 a month. Highly encourage you to go check it out. So I'll just leave it at that. So
yeah, and those that start up for I would say $250,000.
Oh, geez.
I will come to their house and clean it once a week
for the rest of eternity. Mike will somehow do that in his current physical existence, and when he passes away, you will back.
Watch me as I lay on your couch with a duster, moving it slowly along the coffee table.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. he'll bring in a bunch of remote controlled cleaning items, or he might just...
a Roomba. I got a Roomba. I'll get another one.
Yep. Just give Mike some room. He's about ready to about ready to lay down some house cleaning. So
yep. I will put sticky pads all over my body and roll from one end of the
I don't know if you'd
tile floor to the next.
In your current condition, you couldn't roll. I don't think you could.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I can do a half roll. I can.
There you go. That works.
Yes. And I can make a snowman on your floor and pick up dust.
I mean, that's worth the price of admission right there. I mean, just the humorous visual of Mike rolling around on your floor covered in sticky pads.
And if you do $300,000, I will do it in a sexy maid outfit.
Okay, now no. I'd pay them $300,000 to not have you do that. So,
okay.
Yeah, going a little too far there, Mike. Going a little too far. So you're getting wacky on that crazy tea that you're sipping on. So. Calm down. So yeah, we got a good one lined up tonight, though. I have a feeling our brains are going to hurt a little bit, but in a good way.
Sure.
As we mentioned earlier, we had the whole week planned out. I mean, by last Monday, we had all this planned out. We had the topic planned out. We had the Patreon episode planned out. We had our awesome interview with the guys from Expedition Bigfoot lined up. If you haven't listened to that yet, we highly encourage you to go check that out.
Worth listening to.
Man, Bryce and Ronnie were
watching.
So freaking cool. Yeah, you can watch the video of our chat with Bryce and Ronnie from Expedition Bigfoot on our Patreon page. Man, such cool guys. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, and many of you might recognize Bryce from a large number of TV show appearances that he's done.
Absolutely. A plethora of television programs.
Plethora. So would you say that I have a plethora
of piñatas? Yes. Yes, El Guapo. You have a plethora. Yes, you do.
Yes, El Guapo.
3 amigos, man alive. Where are we going? Oh, yeah. The topic for tonight. We're essentially going to just riff it. And we don't know where it's going to go. Hopefully, it's going to end up pretty entertaining and maybe fairly informative. I'm not sure about the informative part.
We do this at times, and I think they work out pretty good usually.
Sometimes maybe not. We shall see. Fingers crossed. I have high hopes, Mike. I'm going to rely on you a hell of a lot tonight because, again, your teetotalaring mind is clear. It is concise. That's tough to say, by the way. So try and say that 5 times fast, anyways.
What, clear and concise?
No, teetotalaring. So it's just a little. It's kind of tough.
I hope you're not thinking that's a real word.
No, what's my word? If you do,
what's wrong with tooken and botten and?
No. We're not going there again. We're not going.
Well,
there
if you can say totalitarian, whatever you're saying.
No, not totalitarian, anything like that. No. Because obviously you're practicing. You are a new practitioner of the totalarer likes, and so thus doing such, you are teetotalaring. See what I'm saying?
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Mike's just shaking his head at me. Anyways, I know it's not a word. I know it's not a word, but I don't care because Mike's gonna throw
Cooking isn't a word, and I don't give a shit.
I know. I was just gonna.
I don't give a shit.
Cooking and botting just. Oh God! I just crippled myself saying that. So
you know what I did last weekend, Patrick? I have taken myself to a restaurant and treated to myself to a well-boughten meal.
All right, that's all we got tonight, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
I'll be here all week.
Yep, I'm gonna go to bed. I don't know. No.
Anyway,
alien interaction, Mike, and something known as the zoo hypothesis,
which I find fascinating.
Oh, it is very
and have for a long time.
Absolutely, it's definitely it's something. It's definitely something that can cause you to scratch your head for sure.
Sure, there's things that go towards making it a possibility, and there are things that make it where it will never work.
Absolutely. So I think we have decided to utilize the zoo hypothesis as the subject for our one last take segment. So that's going to be good. We're going to at the end of our brief discussion of the zoo hypothesis, Mike, we're going to say either yay or nay as to how we feel about this being a legit real thing. I mean, obviously the hypothesis is real, but as whether or not its content is legit, real. But as far as alien interaction, Mike, that covers such a huge, broad spectrum.
It does.
When I threw that idea out towards you, 2 hours ago, maybe? What's the first thing that popped into your brain when you see the phrase alien interaction? No jokes. No joking, Mike.
No jokes. Well, alien interaction is, I believe, when aliens have interacted with us.
he's not my co-host with the Ghost for nothing, folks. Man alive, what a brilliant take.
Well, and you said no jokes, but what else is there to say about it? It's interacting with the aliens. I mean, but as an example, I'm sure you were thinking of, give me an example. Well, it's like, where alien abductions go to, as far as somebody being abducted, and say they're brought up on the ship. You hear of stories, you read stories of somebody that is showing like video almost of the Earth in the future, where it's burning and things like that. It's like that's an interaction where it's giving somebody information or possible information about the future of the planet if we don't we're straighten things up or whatever.
Where we're headed if we don't fix ourselves, basically.
That's like a very distinct interaction where something is given to the interactee.
Sure. It's obviously it's a
whether
warning.
it's information or a chip for tracking, whatever.
Sure. Well, yeah. It's a warning. That's an obvious sign of interaction. How else could you take that? They're trying to help us.
Right.
I'd like to think that's the majority of the alien species out there. I'd like to think that's their modus operandi. That's what they're trying to do for the most part, instead of trying to blow up the Earth.
I believe there are some, and there are some that aren't so benign.
If the universe is infinite, Mike, it's pretty silly and ignorant to think that there's only one type of alien species out there, or even one
which
breed.
Would be us.
Yeah, or one, or just one, I guess, attitude. Overwhelming, all-encompassing alien attitude, so to speak. That's ridiculous to think that. So
right. Well, there are many people that do have that belief that we are the only ones.
I know.
In existence. Yes, this entire universe and galaxy and everything beyond it is here just for us.
Yeah, come on.
Even though we can't use most of it, almost all of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We have no idea what all of it is.
And what we do use, we abuse and we use up, and then before we know it, we're like, whoops. Where did all that crap go that we used to like? And
it's a great big whoopsie.
Yeah, what giant whoopsie, that's for sure. But well, it's definitely like I said, it's a head scratcher, Mike. We've talked about in the past, as our former selves as the Alternate Route Podcast, we've covered alien topics several times in all capacities.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've talked about alien interaction, but again, it's a new start as a paranormal zone. It's definitely not a new start as far as our takes go. We pretty much stick to our guns when it comes to our beliefs, to all things unknown, odd, and mysterious. That's for sure. I'm just going to start throwing stuff out there, crazy as it may be to some. The idea of aliens breeding with humans.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something, Mike, that you buy into?
Absolutely. That's
okay, for certain that you do. That's something you almost reacted like that. Well, that's obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to me it is. And it's not like there, I think there are species, and this goes from research and reading that I've done, whether it's all true or not. I have read stories of where there are species that have or actually have sexual contact as a breeding, or just like the whole artificial insemination.
Yeah, right.
I think that's the majority of it. You know, where there's a woman that's impregnated, and like 3 months later or whatever, they're abducted again, and they wake up the next morning and there's no baby. You know, that's a huge interaction. And, you know,
oh God, yes, my God.
and then the interaction goes after that, as far as these women are abducted again and are introduced to the baby, which does not look totally human, but it, you know, obviously interbred with the alien species, and the mothers are made to hold the child and interact with the child in a way that the aliens cannot, as far as nurturing and that feeling of love and compassion and everything that might not be be what's capable of the alien species.
You know, and that's something that does, you know, that goes both ways when it comes to either male or female, because there's however many thousands of accounts out there of males being abducted, human males, Mike, and being, for lack of a better term, forced to mate or / breed with
or having
alien.
electrodes attached to their penile groin area, which induces an ejaculation.
Penile groin area. Okay. So just anywhere in the general vicinity,
yes.
You know, in the area down there.
Yes, and yes, it's penile, and while this is going on, there are aliens sitting at the next table playing penile.
Oh, come on. No. See,
kind of pushing it there.
Yeah, a little bit.
And they just keep glancing over once in a while. Oh, he's done.
Next.
Yeah.
Well,
don't forget to swab off the electrodes.
Gross. There
alcohol wipes in the drawer.
There, I have a vivid memory of, and we may have shared it on an old episode of the Ultimate Rail podcast, Mike. Audio recordings of a man under hypnosis.
Yes.
When he's talking about his sexual encounter after being abducted and brought up on the alien craft. And he's terrified, Mike. It's not like he's having a good time.
It's not a good time, I'm sure.
It's we're not going to go into
it's rape in any sense of the word.
Very much so. Very much so. Just for in the least sense, out of just not knowing what the hell is going on, and you're terrified beyond capacity because of that fact right there. It's like you're essentially paralyzed, surrounded by who knows what.
Something that looks like an octopus on legs.
Good Lord. I know it's traumatic and terrifying. So again, it goes both ways here. It's not, not just essentially all female. It's not just essentially all male. It's both. And when you think about it, that makes sense because they need both.
Right.
Well, again, you reacted, Mike, like, yeah, absolutely. I totally buy into that. And I am absolutely open to that possibility as well. That segues into the idea of, if this has been happening, how long has it been happening? Has it been going on since the dawn of time, as far as the Earth goes, as far as, the human race existing, even before we evolved into human race? Did aliens play a role in human evolution, Mike? Let's hurt our brains a little bit right now. Let's dive into that a little bit.
Well, I have gone through different periods of beliefs and getting to where I am now, and I've been developing along the way and picking and choosing what fits for me and what makes sense to me. To me, evolution started with this. I mean, I've always believed that aliens have been here since the beginning of time. It's like they were here before us, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, gotcha.
And it started with the earliest hominid creatures, where they have had a hand in DNA manipulation and genetics and everything, and evolution in general. I mean, and this puts me in a spot where you know, where do I sit religion wise or scientific wise or in the middle where it's just really bizarre? But I'm not the only one that feels this way.
No, of course
You
not.
know, it's a huge, I don't know if you want to call it a following or it's a belief. I mean, and I can't prove it. I can't say that this is definitive of this is what has happened, but in my opinion, it makes sense to me since the beginning of time. And that's what evolution is.
It fits for you.
That's what evolution has always been. The manipulation of DNA and genetics and, you know, however you want to call it as far as interbreeding or whatever.
So in a sense, to you, aliens are God in a sense, as they have, according to what you've talked about right there.
That gets very, very, very deep. And
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
You know,
well, as far as, you know, we're just limited to our human minds here, our human development on this small planet called Earth. We're just
I've always said, yeah, exactly.
We're limiting it to Earth here.
Right.
So as far as how us, you know, we little humans go, as far as that, our minds go, as far as how huge of a struggle it has been for us to try and find meaning as to why we are here in the first place. Is it because of this God? Did we create the idea, the concept of God just to make us feel better about ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
And or is it legit? Is God as an entity legit? And if so, is it these alien creatures in regards to just the development of humans on Earth here, Mike? Yeah. So technically, how I'm interpreting what you're saying there is you are suggesting, as far as humans go, human development go, aliens are our God.
You know, I've had that, I always had that thought in my mind, but it's very difficult for me to make that final leap to that, because, you know, religion is instilled in us from birth.
It can be, for sure. Yeah.
And, you know, and I have gotten so far away from religion. Like I've said before, you know, listeners, everything, I have no religion. I haven't belonged to any religion. I claim no religion. I'm not in any record books of any religion.
And you're not bashing any religion.
And I'm not bashing any religion. Any religion, no matter who they worship or what they worship or whatever. But it's just, you know, I know there's a God. I just don't know exactly what God is. And I still have yet to make that final jump, even though I might have already gotten halfway jumped across the ditch, kind of. Sure. You can say, you know,
right. I know.
But that's a hard thing to admit to, or to make that final leap. I mean, it is for me. I'm sure that many people have, you know, easily made that jump. And
is it scary, Mike, to make that leap? Is it safe to say it's kind of scary, or is it intimidating? Maybe that's a better word. Intimidating.
Yeah, maybe, you know,
or is it just too difficult? It's just too difficult.
Yeah, it's just it is difficult, but I know where I will end up when this is all over, as far as where my decision and where I'll land when I make that leap. So
yeah, and the first thing that Mike hears where he's going is, dude, run. Yeah. So, I don't know why Brian Hornoy would be down there.
Yeah, but Hornoy. We got to find out exactly how that's pronounced.
I love saying Hornoy, though. I know it's not how it's pronounced. I know it isn't. So
but hey, it works for us.
Hey, if you're listening out there, Brian H., I'd love to talk to you. We'd love to talk to you on the podcast. That'd be awesome. Get an update on Brian Hornoy's status from the.
Yeah, let us know how you pronounce your name. We don't want to keep butchering it.
I know what. I'm sorry. Yeah.
It's not like we're making fun of him at all.
No. No, it's not like he ever said anything like, dude, run! No, he never did that.
He'll never live that down, I'm sure.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm probably adding to his misery on that one, so I apologize. So
yeah.
Yeah, open invite to Brian. Brian H.
Yes.
That's what we'll say from the original Ghost Hunters cast. Anyways, we're going astray here, Mike, just a wee bit. So I know we've talked about this 100 times, Mike. I know we have, but let's talk about it again briefly. Along the same lines of evolution and aliens kind of manipulating human evolution. Now let's put another twist on it. Your thoughts on the idea? They're still interacting, obviously. They're involved in this. The idea, this may be going a little bit away from what we're talking about, but maybe not. The idea that the classic gray image that we see, the classic gray alien as described by several abductees, is, in fact, and you know where I'm going with this, I'm sure, future versions of ourselves, future versions of human beings.
Yeah, that is a theory.
You look at the evolution as how it goes. You know, the enlarged cranial capacity, the enlarged eyes, the smaller nose, the smaller mouth, stuff that you don't necessarily, maybe, according to the certain theories, you don't necessarily need those two senses quite as much as you need capacity, your enlarged capacity for thinking and thought. What do you think, Mike? I mean, well, it's really tough to wrap your brain around that one. Because then you go like, well, if they're involved with the beginning of the human race, how the hell can they also be the future of the human race? And how can we be aware of them now? In the middle,
would have to be
in the
time
middle
travelers,
of the human race. There you go.
Dimensional or time travelers. Yeah, because if they are us in the future, maybe they have evolved or have been evolved through what is needed for them to survive in the shape and capacity and structure that they are in that future time. And during that evolution to where they are now, or when they come back to see us, they have lost their ability to procreate or, anything like that. So they have to come back,
fight off diseases that they have.
Yeah, exactly.
That they have
anything like
lost.
that could have changed. So they have to come back, abduct us, and probe whatever out of our buttholes that makes them that they can bring back with them.
Yeah.
To make us as a species survive at that time, in the future or in that dimension.
What is it with the probing buttholes, by the way? I mean, isn't there any other place they could probe? I mean, there's got to be, we have other orifices. I mean,
let me stick this thing in your eye.
Yeah, right. Why not? I mean, do they care? I'm sure they have numbing agents.
Numbing agents.
It's like, come on.
Okay, they got you in a prone position with your butt up in the air, and all of a sudden you hear, all right, you're going to feel a slight prick.
Right. Exactly. In a moment, you're going to feel a little bit of pressure. What?
Yes.
Pressure?
And then we will give about 5 minutes for that to work, and then we shall begin the procedure.
We shall proceed. Yeah. Ah, man. Hey, that's food for thought, man. It's like, come on. Why?
Yeah.
You got to find some other important material in other places of the body. But hey, I digress.
Well, I have heard stories or read stories where somebody's on a table and they're being, some procedures being done on them, and they'll start screaming out in pain of what's being done, and like needles or whatever that's being put into them. And as soon as they start screaming out in pain, one of the aliens will like have this thing that'll pass over their head or whatever, and the pain will just disappear and they won't feel any pain anymore.
I've heard stuff like that too.
Yeah.
But I've also heard it's not necessarily like an object that they utilize. Right. It's almost sometimes
pass their hand
just
over
their hand. Exactly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So that suggests an unbelievable telepathic type skill, wouldn't it, Mike?
Absolutely.
I mean, a telepathic skill that affects you physically.
Right.
Man, that hurt my brain just thinking about that right now. But again, that would have to do I have to relate to perhaps 1 million years of your brain evolving to that ability. I mean,
sure.
People nowadays, I mean, how many thousands of years of certain humans claim to have had that ability, Mike? I mean, it's not that far-fetched. It really isn't. Shit, I've done stuff like that in the past. I've done with my fiance Bridget. We don't know. Maybe it's purely psychological when you think that something is helping. That
It does
that will
happen.
help.
Yeah.
Where she sits there like she will have a headache or something, and I will. This is no joke. I'm sure I talked about this before in older episodes, where I would just basically kind of place my hands on my fingertips on her head, and I would feel like I would try and focus and send, like, I know it sounds cheesy, feel like an energy bolt or whatever, sending through, starting in my spine, the base of my spine, going through my neck, all through my hands. I'd feel like my hands kind of tingling. And then, no joke, more often than not, her headache would dissipate a bit. Not go away totally, but it would feel better. Is it just purely psychological? She thinks something's happening, so therefore she does it to herself? Or is there something else? I don't know.
I do the same thing with patients. Like, of course, every time I know that I'm going to be seeing a patient for the last time, when they're that close to dying, I put my hand on their head. But when there are patients that are agitated or upset or depressed or whatever, I'll put my hand on their head, and I'll put my thumb like just between their eyes, like between their eyebrows. And at times I will have that pressure that I feel, but I take that from just my forehead out.
Sure.
And that's that, and it works. It does work.
So again, think of 5 million years in the future, if they're future versions of us and future versions of our brain and future versions of our telepathic and empathic abilities, what have you, imagine how powerful they could be compared to what they are now.
Yeah. Well, think of early man that had no language. Say even us, if we went back in time and confronted them and we spoke our language or English to them, that would be alien to them.
Oh, 100%.
It's just as time goes on in evolution with abilities of speech or language,
and that's kind of
whatever.
That's kind of related to our one last take, the zoo hypothesis. You can kind of look at it like that as well. So
right.
I'm looking forward to diving into that one. Now, another idea of Mike about alien interaction, about aliens walking among us right now as we speak. Let's say that they aren't, that these particular ones we're talking about aren't here for breeding purposes. Let's try and think about why they would be here. Why are they here? Why would they be, I guess, incognito, for lack of a better term? Why would they be undercover and literally interacting with us under the guide as being humans themselves?
Well, Bill and Hillary, they're actually reptilians.
That's
and
right.
They wear rubber skin.
I forgot about that one.
As humans.
That you heard it here first, folks, on the Paranomaly Zone. So
you would have heard it first or read it first in the Weekly World News.
Yes, exactly. And we've talked about that several times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Same with George Bush's invisible security guards. So
absolutely, yeah. But it could be for scientific reasons for their species. It could be observation. It could be keeping track of what their progress is on a close basis, face-to-face basis.
That's a great point, Mike. Yeah, they're an eyewitness, or kind of
sure
the liaison between such and such. They're the communication link. I was here today, and this is what these humans were talking about. Now they're developing this thing, or trying to develop this thing called an atomic bomb, a hydrogen bomb, and this is where we're going from there. I totally get that one. Yeah, that was highly suggested, strongly suggested in the last season of American Horror Story, for crying out loud.
Really?
That I'm drawing a blank here. Truman and Eisenhower were all involved.
Oh, sure.
And
well, that is a theory too, or a story that might be true.
Yeah. So it's whether or not, not necessarily about the hydrogen bomb, but about after Roswell, when it came to
well, the deal that was made with the aliens between them and the aliens, that in exchange for certain technology
Yep.
They are
Exactly.
allowed to abduct so many humans a year or something like that.
Yeah, kind of a symbiotic relationship.
Exactly.
Kind of,
Yeah.
just helping each other out. It's like, we'll give you this technology that says wee bit of stuff that we are, we're eons ahead of you anyway. So we'll give you this. It could be ancient old technology to them, but to us, it's,
Exactly.
it's bright, shiny, and new, and we blow ourselves up with it. It's like, yay, yay humans, yay humans. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, the idea of aliens walking around amongst us right now, it's kind of eerie. It's kind of
I think it's absolutely, in my opinion, it's absolutely real, and it just, it has to be happening.
Do you think that even the almighty cell phone technology could have been suggested to us, helped out, or alien technology and alien intelligence could have helped us out with our wonderful little devices that we hold in our hands on an everyday basis? I mean, who's to say that?
Well, we got that
wasn't?
from the original Star Trek series.
Oh yeah, that's right. What were you saying earlier, Mike? What were you saying earlier about? Oh no, you were talking about the relationship between an old Star Trek theme and the zoo hypothesis, right? You were talking about that before.
That was about the zoo hypothesis.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to bring it up then, because we'll bring it up during one last take. So my bad. Sorry about that.
Do you know that before Velcro was actually used in the commercial world, the uniforms of the original Star Trek crew, that's how they attached their phasers to their uniform, was by Velcro.
By Velcro. Oh,
real Velcro. Yeah.
Very nice. Wow.
Early Velcro usage.
Are you saying that Velcro is alien technology?
Hey, it could be. And if nothing else, the some of the components in some of our things like cell phones and other high tech devices could be of alien technology. Little cells and little electrodes or whatever.
Is it too bizarre, Mike, and perhaps even too simplistic on the other end of the spectrum to suggest that humans understanding and learning how to create and utilize the power of fire? I mean, is that something that could have been shown to us, forever ago by alien intelligence? I mean,
well,
is that a little too simplistic, or is that something to...
No, it's not simplistic, because there was a time before fire. There's a time before, cooking meat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Did they discover fire by a lightning strike one time? And they went to investigate this, and they deduced what it could be used for.
And that's the power of thought right there. That's some pretty amazing intellect.
How did they figure out, well, let's see, maybe this meat would be more tasty if we put it on there for a while.
Yeah.
Or could it have been totally by accident that happened even?
Sure.
Was it by accident that fire was discovered as a tool that would be invaluable, or was that a technology that was given?
Right.
As the human race or early man or whatever was being genetically upgraded, you might say, or the
engineered.
And they needed this more of a technology for at the level that they were being made into. I'm really stumbling with this, but
no, I think I know where you're going.
As they were manipulated genetically, did that give them more thought process to figure these things out?
Yeah. Sure.
Whichever way it went, it's...
Well, one thing that's always interesting to me, I am an animal lover. I mean, I just am, and I still feel pangs of guilt for half the shit that I eat.
I know.
And I know you do too, Mike. I mean, it's no joke.
I won't eat veal.
But it's a fact. It's a fact.
Calves are too cute.
Well, yeah, tell me about
Anyway.
it. But it is a fact, Mike, that our brain, we wouldn't be evolved to the point of feeling pangs of guilt if we hadn't come from thousands of years of consuming meat. The proteins in everything that we gathered from eating meat for eons and eons helped develop our brains to where they are today.
Sure.
We could be blathering slabs of goo if we, still to this day, if we hadn't consumed meat. And so that's like, oh man, it's like we wouldn't be able to be here.
I think if I ate less meat right now, I would be less of a slobbery slab of goo.
I said blathering.
Blathering.
Slab of
Okay.
glue. Yeah, slab of glue. Goo. Goo or glue, whichever one is fine. So.
Yeah, whichever.
Well, shit, Mike. We're up to 40 minutes. Do you need to take a time traveling excursion briefly, and we'll come back and maybe we should just dive right into the zoo hypothesis.
Sure, whatever you wish to do.
Well, my brain is still feeling pretty good right now, so I think we should dive into that before we turn to mush ourselves and we start to de-evolutionize. So, let's do
Tea
it.
doesn't go through me as fast as beer does, so
That's very good. So
I'm good.
All right, awesome. Well, we still need to take a break just for our brains.
Sure we do.
All right, hold on, boys and girls. Don't go anywhere. We shall be all right back. Okay, we are back after yet another successful time traveling excursion. Before I forget, I want to give a shout out to a listener, Mike, longtime loyal, awesome listener, Patrick Lee Marshall.
Yes.
Awesome Patreon supporter, a patron pal of ours. He sent me some screenshots of some of the artwork that he wants because he is due some of those prints of my artwork. That is a Patreon perk. If you sign up for a $5 Patreon monthly subscription, stick around for 3 months, you get your choice of any one of my artwork prints. And Patrick just sent me a bunch of shots of which ones he would like, and I will happily mail them out to you. So if you're listening right now, Patrick, sometime in the future, that print may have arrived already, or it's in the mail while you're listening. So I just want I want to give him a big thanks though, because he's been an awesome listener. He's been around for years, and
quite some time,
and hopefully you'll stick around for quite some time longer.
Yeah, well, depends on us.
Very much so.
If we continue to be,
woo.
Yeah,
that's the pressure's on us though, man, because it really is. I mean, on nights like tonight, I feel especially so because we are riffing off the top of our noggins, and we're just kind of seeing where it goes. So yeah. Thank you. It works. Thanks for the support. Thanks for the supportive response there, Mike. I appreciate it. You're really instilling me with confidence right now.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's like I'm like Ed McMahon to your Johnny Carson.
Well,
there for that.
Okay. Yeah. For that support, basically doing. No, I'm not going to say anything. Not going to say one thing. Oh, by the way, if you do sign up for Patreon, you can have the joy of listening to all of the long gone Nonsensicast radio episodes and all of these soon to be long gone alternate route podcast episodes, because they are slowly being removed from everywhere. The only place you can listen to them are on the Patreon page, and you can go back to 2013 and listen to me sound like a complete dolt. It's fun.
Oh, yeah. Everybody did at that time.
And Mike and Bridget and myself, man, was I obnoxious. I sound like a freaking circus man just screaming, hey, come look at the whatever, I'm just, no. I just didn't, I was loud. I didn't like listening to myself. But I mean, I love listening to myself because it's funny. And it's a funny, a fun trip down memory lane, but it makes you cringe. Right. It just makes you cringe.
Yeah. Well, there are probably episodes fairly recent that we can do the same thing.
I knew that you were going to say that, so I wanted to beat you to the punch. So right now I'm making people cringe. So again, thanks for the instillment of confidence, Mike.
Hey, Ed to your Johnny.
Okay, whatever. Okay, one more thing before we move on to the zoo hypothesis for our one last take segment, Mike. And this is related to alien technology, okay?
Right.
And I am going to fly through this. I'm holding up my trusty, well, Bridget's trusty, Ancient Aliens official companion book. Love this book. And I'm perusing right to the very last, second to last chapter here. This is referring to the Saqqara bird, Mike. Saqqara, the Saqqara bird.
Yes,
So,
they're good fried,
oh my God.
deep fried. Anyway, go ahead. Got to pluck a lot of little feathers off of them, though. It's kind of difficult.
I thought you were going to say plethora again. There's a plethora of plucking feathers. So, okay. Oh, no.
In
there'd be
bones, they get stuck in your teeth.
a plethora of plucked plumage. There we go.
Yes.
I'm hilarious tonight. Okay, and I read. I'm going to peruse through this as fast as I can. And tell me if you, stop me if you've heard any of this, Mike, and interject anytime you want.
Got it.
So 20 miles south of Cairo and the Great Pyramids stands the formidable step pyramid of King Djoser. Begins with a D. D-J-O-S-E-R.
No, I think that was King Jafar.
Was it Jafar? That's right. Dang it. Ah, all right. Sending off
Coming
his
to
son,
America.
Yes, to sow his royal oats. Gotcha. In Egypt's oldest burial ground, Saqqara, known colloquially, I hate that. I hate saying that word. Colloquially. Say that
Colloquially.
one. Colloquially as the city of the dead. Though less ambitious in the scale than the pyramids of Giza, the step pyramid of Djoser, or a King Jofer, inspires its own magnificent reverence as the oldest of Egypt's 97 pyramids. Now, this is where we're going here, Mike. In 1891, among the other haunting echoes of time past, French archaeologists unearthed the tomb of Padi Ayman, an official from the 3rd century BC, and I apologize for butchering all these pronunciations. Among the various items found in the tomb was a small wooden model of what appeared to be a bird. This is back in 1891.
Mm-hmm.
Lying beside a papyrus bearing the inscription,
Papyrus.
Bearing the inscription, I want to fly. Says the guy who says tooken and botten.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways. Papyrus bearing the inscription, I want to fly. The artifact was then sent to the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, where curators placed it alongside several other bird figurines. Now, this model sat largely unnoticed until 1969. You know, that's a long time to just sit there. When Egyptologist Dr. Khalil Messiah, Messiha, Messiha.
I am not the Messiah.
He's a very naughty boy. Now piss off. Dr. Khalil Messiha noticed that there was something very different about the Saqqara bird. At first glance, it appeared to resemble an idealized bird. Closer examination, however, revealed a strange oddity in its depiction of wings. Now, this is a quote. It says, "It's interesting because on one hand, clearly it looks like a bird because it has eyes, and it has a typical nose of a bird. On the other hand, the wings are clearly not wings." This is explained by Professor Uwe Appel, an aerospace engineer. Uwe Appel. Sounds like a rotten apple. Uwe Appel.
Yes.
His associate.
What I say when I see a worm in it.
Now, Professor Appel's associate, Dr. Algund Ianboom. Why are you laughing at these people's names for, Mike? You're so rude.
Laughing at the way you're just running through all these crazy names that you can't pronounce, but you're doing your best.
I'm doing my best. Would you be able to do any better? Come on.
No.
Dr. Algund Ianboom explains further. At the middle of the rump, you'll see the wing is a bit thicker. In the region, the lift is up at the highest. The whole thing becomes thinner to the end of the wings, and those wings are modeled down. And this is a very modern aerodynamic design. Now, finally, they suggest, could ancient aliens have understood or even possessed the dynamics of flight 2,000 years before humankind invented the airplane? In 2006, aviation and aerodynamics expert Simon Sanderson, I nailed that one. That one was easy. Simon Sanderson built a
Sure, it's easy.
built a scale model of the Sakara bird 5 times larger than the original to test that possibility. And the results were astonishing. Sanderson's tests demonstrated that the only thing preventing the Sakara bird from achieving flight was the lack of a rear stabilizing rudder or elevator needed to maintain balance. Further examination of the Sakara bird revealed that just such a component might have become detached from the rear undercarriage of this exact figurine. So it suggested that there actually was a part of that model, that wood carving, that was perhaps a rudder.
Right.
As Dr. Ian Boom clarifies, tests show the Sakara bird is a highly developed glider, and this is the design that we use today. Multiple scholars agree that at the time of its creation, it is likely the Sakara bird could indeed have flown. If so, how did the ancient Egyptians develop its design? Mike, holy cow, I'm sorry I had to fly through that as fast as I could, but there's a point to it. That's just one tiny little example.
I remember seeing pictures of that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's just a nice little wood carving. It looks just like a plane, but you can see that it's a bird, but it looks like a damn plane.
Right, exactly.
So, Mike, this was discovered in 1891, but it is at least 2,000 years old.
Right.
Perhaps handed down from alien intelligence. So this is how aerodynamics work, boys and girls, and we'll show you this little tiny figure as an example so you guys can go from there. I don't know. Or maybe they left sketches. Maybe the Egyptians were witnesses of flying aircraft, and they were carving their own little relics of it. Yeah, depictions of it. So I don't know. I assume that you are open to that suggestion, Mike.
Sure, absolutely.
Oh, really? That's all you're going to add to it?
Well, why not? I mean, it is what it is.
You're on fire tonight. I feel like I just wasted everyone's time for the last 10 minutes.
Well, you know, they if they have carved this or built this little model of a bird, that is most likely their depiction of what they saw. Say they saw a flying vehicle, and they're going to make it look like a bird because that's how their minds would interpret it at that time.
Right.
You know, something that's flying up in the air, they're going to put characteristics of a bird on this model or this carving that they did.
Because they've seen thousands of birds flying. And so, I mean, that's how they understood flight. So, again, just one tiny little example. All right, Mike, let's do a smooth segue. Okay. Smooth segue. There it is. We did a smooth segue. Zoo hypothesis. I fired this idea to you earlier tonight, Mike, and it's something that you said that you were actually kind of familiar with. Not like you have done deep studies on it.
No, I haven't.
So relate that tale you told me about the comparison to the old Star Trek idea that you thought was similar to this zoo hypothesis.
Sure. It's like the prime directive that, you go to an alien planet and you cannot interact with them to the point of giving them any kind of a technology that would be something that they did not come up with themselves. There have been episodes where that's happened, where the Klingons have done that with this species, and it just turned out really bad. War, pestilence.
Bad. Things are bad.
Yeah. So.
Well, the zoo hypothesis, as such, speculates on the assumed behavior and existence of technologically advanced extraterrestrial life and the reasons they refrain from contacting Earth. The hypothesis states that alien life intentionally avoids communication with Earth to allow for natural evolution and socio-cultural development and avoiding interplanetary contamination, similar to people observing animals at a zoo.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to a zoo and you're like, "Yep, don't play with the animals. Don't don't point at them. You'll have monkeys throw poop at you and all that stuff."
And then before you know it, they're going to be using an Apple computer.
Yeah, right. Now, proponents of the zoo hypothesis, Mike, proponents of it, they threw this out there. They conjured it up as an explanation as to why there isn't any evident proof of alien interaction on Earth with us. I mean, that's the whole, everything's connected in this episode here, Mike. We're trying to keep it all connected somehow or some way. But the zoo hypothesis was essentially an explanation, a possible explanation as to why we haven't had any alien, or at least proof of alien interactions.
Right.
It's because they're staying away from us for a reason. Now, do you buy into that idea?
Well, it's a great theory and something that maybe should be done, but we've already proven, well, or talked about it in our earlier in this episode, that there's been too many times of alien interaction that would say that is not being done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like like the Eisenhower and the alien connection of
sure,
or whoever it was, you know,
or whoever it was,
trading technology for the being able to abduct humans. I mean, that blows that out of the water right there, if that's true. You know, we are getting.
Can I ask you something real quick, Mike? I'm sorry, Mike.
Go ahead.
I need to throw this out to you. Put
Go
yourselves in the shoes of Eisenhower. Let's say you were the president right now in the 1950s, okay? The most powerful man in the world, literally at that time. At least a figurehead. But he definitely, you know, Eisenhower was one of the last globally respected figures,
Sure,
you know, ever, I would say. That's just my stupid opinion. Put yourself in his shoes. And if this was a legit happening, would you be able to do that, Mike? Would you be able to sign off? You personally, would you be able to sign off on this agreement, say, yes, I will take these advancements in technology, and yes, I will allow you to traumatize and horrify, possibly violate and harm thousands of humans a year in exchange for this technology, for the betterment, supposed betterment of civilization. Would you be able to do that?
I would like to say that no, I wouldn't be able to do that, but I suppose he was thinking of, you know, the sacrificing the few for the many, or, you know,
Yep.
But, you know, those are things you have to think about in that type of a position and with that kind of power. You know, what would a person do that to get technology that very likely nobody else in the world has? You know, your enemies don't have it, and you have a chance to have this technology that could better our country, or even weaponry to, you know. Are
you trying to talk yourself into it, Mike? Are you trying to say
no, I'm not.
Would?
I'm not trying to talk myself into it. No, really, I'm not. It's just,
so, but
you know,
you right
just
now,
luckily I wasn't in that position to have to make that decision.
Okay. Well, that's kind of what the hypotheticals and all are all about, Mike. And you have to make a decision. As of right now, I personally don't think you would be able to. But that's just,
I don't think so.
That's just my assumption of you.
Yeah. If you're putting, you know, any number of people, well, and that is a large number of people. Small compared to the entire country, but still a large number of people that I would not want to be, you know, giving the okay to traumatize or change their lives in a very negative way, or how many did not survive even.
Absolutely.
So,
man. I mean, that's all relative, because it's on the scale of world population. The amount that are being abducted is very minuscule, but it's still a high number compared to just everyone. When you think of them, they're all individuals. They're all people who have families, and, you know, they're all humans, for God's sake. And so,
if you're standing on one side of a line, and then there's 1,000 people on the other side of the line, and you're looking right at them, are you going to be able to say, okay, within this next year, every one of you are going to be abducted by alien creatures, and they're going to do extreme things to you that you will not even imagine. And I am the one that said, okay, it's going to be done.
Exactly.
Nope.
Yeah. And I'm going to go play golf. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
right.
Oh, something to ponder, definitely. So thank you for your honesty, Mike. Now, there is a variant on the zoo hypothesis. And this was a variant that was suggested by MIT Haystack Observatory scientist John Allen Ball. And his variant of the zoo hypothesis is the laboratory hypothesis, where it suggests that humanity is being subjected to experiments with Earth essentially being a giant laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
As an example, aliens might choose to allow contact once the human species has passed certain technological, political, or ethical standards. They might withhold contact until humans force contact upon them, possibly by sending a spacecraft to planets they inhabit. So, I don't know. That's a kind of a tough one to wrap your head around as well. The Earth is one big, giant experimental lab, Mike.
Sure. Well, the Earth is minuscule to some of these alien species.
Oh, sure.
I'm sure. You know, it's like we're like a petri dish.
But the idea of all of us right now being part of a big mass experiment. Do you feel? I mean, what do you feel about that? I mean, what's your gut reaction? That
well, we're sure take a lot of meaning out of
all of us right now are
lives.
parts. All of us right now are just the results of a laboratory experiment. All of our families, all of our feelings, all of our love, all of our pets, everything that we've done is just because of a higher hand manipulating our lives.
Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy, but yeah.
I don't like that.
I don't like the idea of that being a huge possibility, and I don't. I think that's going on to a certain extent. Like they have created us maybe for this purpose of experimentation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it comes down to why, if they did create us and if they did have manipulated us into what we are now, why did they do that? Is it for scientific study to see, you know, what works and what isn't going to work? It's
now there's another way of looking at this, Mike. I can see,
okay.
And that is, it's another part of the hypothesis that was suggested by Mr. Ball here. And he says that although these experiments might be considered morbid or grotesque, but the same experiments are done on an altruistic level, meaning that they are done for essentially the betterment and the happiness and the continuance of the human race. And it's designed, I'm reading this now, designed to accelerate the pace of civilization to overcome a tendency for intelligent life to destroy itself.
Right.
So what may seem morbid and grotesque,
they're doing
actually,
it for the success of the species.
Right.
The continuation. It's like one story that I read about an abductee when he was being experimented on. He had said to the alien that was doing this to him that you don't have the right to do this to us. You don't. And the alien said, "We have every right to do this to you."
Wow.
Now, why would he say that?
Wow.
You know,
because we are the hands of creation right now, basically.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. It's like, we have every right.
So if that's a true story, to where the answer to him saying that was, the response to it was, we have every right to be doing this.
Man, it's such a giant rabbit hole to go down, Mike.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Again, if you aren't, what popped in my brain right now is a fantastic television show that if you haven't watched, Mike, I think I highly suggest it. Westworld. I think you would absolutely love Westworld. It's essentially, it's about AI, and it's about AI. I mean, we created it, but where do we stop? And what it comes, it's essentially kind of the same idea of well, not the same idea, but it's similar, that this AI evolves so much after thousands and thousands and thousands of recycles, you know, that finally breaks through and starts to evolve on its own without the help of us, becomes, you know, self-sustaining on its own part,
Yep. Self-aware and everything.
Self-aware, and it's like, what, you have been unbelievably cruel to me for
Mhm.
my thousands of existence. I mean, it's tough to wrap your brain around, but once you get it, it's fascinating. I highly recommend it, Mike. I know you'd like it.
Yeah. I know there's so many shows that I need to watch. I've come to the conclusion to myself that I am not going to watch the new series Bobby Feet.
Okay, well, that's good. I'm glad that you're cutting the line somewhere. You're drawing the line, I should say.
Bobby Feet I won't watch.
Now there is
Boba Fett, maybe. I don't know. But
shush up. Just shush up
Anyway.
with the Boba Feet and the Boba Fett and the Bubbas and all that stuff. Because I've given up on you. If you haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett yet, I've given up on you. So
hey, I eventually got into the Mandalorian
and guess
loved
what?
it.
And you loved it. I'm telling you, Mike, you're gonna love the Book of Boba Feet, as you said.
Bobby Feet.
Bobby Feet, sorry. And you know what? I'm not even going to get going on it. All I can say is if you haven't watched the trailer for the Obi-Wan series that's coming out now, oh my gosh, yeah.
Is Dark Maul in any of these?
Yes, Dark Maul is. No, he's not. As far as we know, he's not in it. The timeline is lining up where he could be. The timeline suggests that he could be there. But yeah, you don't want him to get lost in a Dark Maul, that's for sure.
No.
Obi-Wan just wandering aimlessly with the lights out in the Mall of America. Yeah, wonderful. Now there is criticism of the zoo hypothesis, Mike, and you kind of touched on that briefly way back at the beginning of the episode by saying that as far as criticism goes, the hypothesis suggests that only one single dissident group in an alien civilization, or alternatively the existence of a galactic cliques instead of one unified galactic club would be enough to break the pact of no contact. Like you said, Mike, all it would take is just one of an infinite amount of alien species out there to make contact, and then the whole thing is thrown out the window.
Yep, just by one species that doesn't follow along.
Right. So, I mean, that's a pretty simple criticism, but it's straightforward, and it's to me, it's dead on. I mean,
and that species that talked to Eisenhower could be that species that made it just obsolete.
Obsolete. So it's a fascinating idea, Mike. Now let's put your opinionated caps on, and we'll wrap up one last take. We'll wrap up this episode. Right. Okay, Mike, it's time for yay or nay. And if you have some reasoning behind it, feel free to throw it out there. But okay, I'm throwing it to you. Mike Carbno, co-host with the Ghost, paranormal poster boy himself. Zoo hypothesis, yay, nay, and why?
I think it's got to be a nay from me.
No kidding. Mike finally says a nay. Woo!
Well, there's too much that will make it not work. There's too many supposedly documented cases of that have happened or supposedly has happened that would just throw it out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but it's already been flushed down the toilet as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, even, the Sakara bird that I just mentioned, 10 minutes ago, whatever, the example, that's just one of how many hundreds.
Right. Exactly.
And I mean, we don't mean to be so brief and blunt about this, but I'm with you on that one, Mike. It's fascinating. I like the idea. I mean, let me rephrase it. I don't like it, but I appreciate it.
Right. That's a good way to put it.
As being a legit possibility. But there's too much out there, Mike. There's been too much already. I mean, I cannot give it a yay. I give it a big time nay. As much as I appreciate the idea, it's a nay for me as well. So, it was pretty simple decisions for us right there. But we don't take them lightly, I don't think.
No, absolutely.
Speaking of aliens and supposed alien contact and sightings, the Phoenix, Arizona lights, Mike, that phenomenon?
The Phoenix lights, yes.
Phoenix lights. I did not know this is according to him himself, but supposedly the actor Kurt Russell was the one who first reported the lights.
Really?
Because he was up in the air in his private plane flying his daughter around for some reason. I can't remember why. And he spotted them and called them in. That's what he claims. I did not know that. I did not know that. That's kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
And I also learned today, because I was reading stuff about celebrity alien sightings, that Shaquille O'Neal claims to have seen a flying saucer not only above him flying, but also getting so close to the point that it was landing, damn near landing, and he saw the cylindrical body of the craft spinning, so much so that he and his girlfriend and they were on a double date. He and his friends were on a double date, and they all saw this craft, and they all looked at each other and spinning, and they all said, "That's a damn UFO." So
yep, and then it was spinning, and Michael Jordan's finger was right underneath it, and it was balanced on there, spinning.
I was going to say that Shaquille was just playing a trick on his friends because he's gigantic, and he's like, "Hey, look up here," and he's spinning it on his fingers, hiding behind a tree or something. I don't know. That's kind of crazy. Lots of celebrity UFO sightings. Even
absolutely.
Even presidents. Jimmy Carter said he saw a damn UFO.
Yeah. There's celebrities that haven't even come forward, I'm sure. I mean, I've read of diplomats of countries that have had extreme close encounters. That it's amazing. It's out there. It's real. They've always been here.
Yeah. And are some of them not coming forth for a reason, like you said?
Oh yeah.
Well, Mike, this has been pretty short and sweet. It's about an hour and 10 minutes. I think that's a good length for a good solid episode, Mike.
Sure.
Any final words, any final thoughts on this beautiful Saturday night that is March 12th, by the way, 2022. I hope everyone's having a good March 12th, by the way. Don't forget to set your clocks ahead.
That's right. I was going to mention that, it's a lot of people will be listening to this after.
Right. So don't set them ahead
Sunday.
Again. Because then you'll screw everything up.
Yeah. It's Saturday night. Before you go to bed Saturday night, make sure that you set them ahead so you lose that hour of sleep in the morning.
And Mike, just by him saying Saturday night, that reminded me of, we have another awesome idea for our Patreon specials lined up. Next week, we're doing part 2 of our Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters commentary and breakdown, where we focus on one episode of either of those awesome television shows, those pioneers, those groundbreaking paranormal programs. And we have a great time. We did our first one last week, a week and a half ago, where we talked about episode 5 of season 1 of Ghost Hunters at the Eastern State Penitentiary investigation. The infamous episode, and we had a great time. And we're going to cover a Ghost Adventures episode next, but we also decided we are going to have a special Patreon episode where we talk about all things, believe it or not, Saturday Night Live. That's going to be so much fun.
The history, the beginning, the middle, the not having an ending yet.
Not yet. It's just we casually during our time traveling excursions, we brought it up, and we're both just huge fans. I mean, I've been watching it since as long as I can remember. Mike has vivid memories of it first coming out back in 1975.
I remember season 1, episode 1.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So I'm looking forward to that one, Mike. That was Mike's idea, by the way, everybody. So mark that down. Mike came up with an idea, and it was great. So I'm proud of you.
Yeah, me too. My mind doesn't always work that well to do that.
Gotcha. Now, did I interrupt you when I said your final thoughts, or did you give your final thoughts?
I don't remember.
All right, Mike, your final
My
thoughts.
mind doesn't work that way.
No, you did. Remember. You did. I think you did. You said that, it's obvious to you that aliens have been interacting with us since the dawn of time. So
yeah, in my opinion, they were here before we were.
Yeah, interacting doesn't give it enough strength. Then it's they are responsible.
Oh, sure.
They are responsible. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
not ready to say that they are my God.
I know. That's the thing.
I do believe that. I know there's a God, like I said, and I just do not know what it is. It's not a he, a she. It's it's omnipotent
It
and
is.
above all, whatever it
Yeah.
may be.
It's
Pure
indescribable.
energy. I don't know.
It's.
Yeah.
Can we just say that's indescribable? That it's beyond.
Yeah,
human
absolutely.
it's beyond
It's
human
beyond
description.
It is. It's beyond our understanding and definition. Yes.
Well, Mike, thanks again, buddy. I appreciate you making time. We had a great podcasting weekend. Again, go check out our interview with Bryce Johnson and Ronnie LeBlanc from Expedition Bigfoot. Make sure to check
And
the.
if
Sorry,
and if you haven't, check out the show. I mean,
that's what I was going to say.
I hate to admit it. I hate to admit it but I have not seen the show. But after this interview, I'm already hooked, and I haven't even seen it yet. And there's so much more that they were talking about that's coming. Some great surprises, and it's going to be awesome. I highly suggest.
Yeah, no, season premiere March 20th. Don't miss it. Travel Channel and Discovery Plus. Two great guys. Again, you can watch the video episode of our chat on our Patreon page.
Yeah, we are thankful to them, and we are also, as always, thankful to the Travel Channel that we have.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Been getting closer.
No doubt.
With all the time. Actually, this last interview that we did with them from Expedition Bigfoot, we actually had. Is she a representative, a producer? She's done this a couple of times where she's actually sat in on the episode
on the interviews, just to make sure that we don't ask them anything too outrageous or
maybe they're making sure that we're worthy, and obviously we are, because they are working with us extremely well.
Now I appreciate it so much.
Yes, we love the Travel Channel.
Samantha Balucia and Ellie Kelsner are the two that I have been interacting with the most, and
we thank them
thanks
extremely.
Yeah, so thank you so much, and we will continue to be in touch. But Mike, again, thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
You have a good night.
Yes.
I will get the episode out. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Paranomaly Zone. We certainly enjoyed getting it out to you. Until next time, boys and girls. Mike, what do they all have to do?
Well, after I go and eat cake after this episode, which I'm going to do, I want every one of you to just peace out.